So in this, now what we're going to do is we need to zoom out, Command minus, and then I'm going to resize the boy. So I'm going to use the transform controls. I can turn that off as well. So you can use that and resize. Hello. There we go. The one thing with resize is, again, you want to hold down shift when you're resizing because we don't want to stretch this boy out and make him look weird. So when you click and hold shift, it will maintain your aspect ratio. If you resize something accidentally and stretch it, you can hit escape and it'll go back to original. The way I like to resize most of the time is I don't like the bounding boxes because I find it distracting. So I actually turn these off. And instead, I make sure I'm selected on the correct layer, which I am. And I'm going to do Command T, and that brings up the bounding box. And now I can resize here, holding down Shift and using the corners. If you hold down Shift and use the size, it will still stretch. So I'm going to do Command Z. So I'm going to resize it, and I'm going to try to size him so he looks appropriate. Also, you can resize and hit Option as well with Shift and Option, and it will resize from the middle. There we go. I'm going to actually try to replace this baseball player. So I think that size is about correct. I'm going to hit Enter or Return or hit the check mark. You can also double click and it will apply your transformation. I'm going to turn off the boy for now. And now what I'm going to do is actually Command 0. What I'm going to do is I'm going to crop this because I don't need this area. I just want to use this as my background. So I'm going to go ahead and get the crop tool. And it is hidden here. Oops. I'm going to use this and I am going to just drag that up. It should snap to the bottom of my picture. And I'm going to hit Return. So now it's sized correctly. Going to go back to, now I'm going to do my retouching tools. So I'm going to click on my image, right click, and duplicate layer. I'm going to call this retouch. Hit OK. I'm going to be removing the baseball player. Leave it to Matt Hoffman. And we're going to use some of our favorite tools. So let's do the patch tool. I can circle this, drag. That looks a little weird. Drag. I'm trying it in smaller chunks. The tricky part is once you get to the edge of the field here, I'm going to use his shadow. And you're trying to match it up to make it blend so it looks natural. Any patterns like this and this repeating, you also want to get rid of because it looks unnatural. So I might go in here and then try to make it seem a little bit more random. Okay. Tricky parts. Let's see. I'm going to go over here. Got a block here I'm going to get rid of. And then I'm going to go over here. Now this is just one way to do it. Ooh, you'll see that it got a little dark there, so I'm going to just try to match it up. And some of this the boy's going to actually cover, so it might not be super distracting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this tool and try to line it up with the edge of the field. Snapping into place. There we go. So try to continue that line. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to get rid of that there. I don't think anyone will notice that it's not there. I'm just trying to line it up. And then this part here, I'm gonna just try to line up with the edge, get rid of this. And the patch tool makes this honestly pretty easy. Just trying to line up here. So there's some areas that I'm struggling with. So what I could do is, actually I'm going to right click over here, deselect. I'm going to try the rubber stamp or the clone stamp tool. So I click on that. I'm going to make my brush size a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to hold down Option and select the part I want to copy from. And then what it does is it gives you a little preview. So I'm copying from here and I see a little jag in there. So I want to just kind of paint it in to make it fit a little better. I'm going to reselect, try to streamline that a little. Over here, it's doing the same. So I'm going to click here, try to fill that in a little. Click here. I'm going to try to fill this in a little bit. Reselect. So I just do a Option click to select that area. I can get a preview by just hovering. And then it's gonna, when I paint, it's gonna select from that area. So now I'm just sort of painting it in to try to match it up. And that's looking pretty good. You can see how before the clone stamp, it looked a little choppy. After the clone stamp, I cleaned it up. Now you can add the boy back in, drag him here. His feet are not perfect. So what I can do is, it's a little dark here. I'm going to zoom in to the picture, spacebar and pan, and then I'm going to go take the mask, paint brush, and black is going to hide. So you can select the colors. Default black and white is this little box right here. And to switch the colors, you can hit the arrow, or you can hit X on your keyboard. And if you tap X, it'll switch back and forth. I'm going to make the size a little smaller. And I'm just going to go in here and carefully, with a soft edge brush, paint that to blend it in. And I'm going to try and do the same here with his shoe. The last thing I could do with his shoe is I could make a mound of dirt there to put in front. But for this tutorial, I think we can just kind of fade it. And I'm just going to move it, tap V on the keyboard. Maybe just kind of put it in front there so it looks a little bit more like it's in the dirt. I'm going to zoom out. And there we go. I got my little boy here. I could potentially rotate him a little bit if I wanted. So Command T, or use the bounding box. I could rotate him so he looks like his foot's up higher in the air. I'm going to try and Command T, rotate him again. I was just trying to move him. There we go. So now the shadow sort of matches a little better. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply it by hitting Enter. And then I'm thinking that's pretty good. So I'll do File and Save.